Hello, entrepreneurs, dreamers, business owners, and happy people with high hopes. Welcome to Cashflows with your host, Cash Matthews.
All right, welcome to the show Cashflows. Glad you're here today. I'm Cash Matthews. I'm your host. And boy, do we have a great show today. I'm excited about this one. You know, life's a little challenging sometimes. You know, we love to talk to entrepreneurs and people that have a goal in mind, or they're working in a direction. And sometimes life just throws you a curveball. And one of the things that we've learned on Cashflows is that it is okay to copy off of your neighbor. Now, in the third grade, I found out it is not okay to copy off of your neighbor. I had a situation. I was sitting next to the smartest kid in the class. He was not sitting next to the smartest kid in the class. I was there. And I found a way to appropriate his hard work. I got in trouble. My aunt was also my teacher, and she busted me and asked me while she was beating on me, "Why are you copying off of Joe Mark Cowden?" And I really thought that was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. And I said, "Well, Aunt Dorothy, it's because he's smart. That's why I'm copying off of him." Well, so in third grade, it's a problem. And out here in life, it's the best attribute is you can find somebody that has what you want or has done what you want or lives life in a way that you wouldn't mind copying. And I found something about successful people. They're more than willing to share. So we bring those people onto this show that you may copy some of their attributes. We use a philosophy called fire, aim, ready, and it implies taking action. Today, you'll hear some great nuggets of business advice, life, relationships, real estate, but you have to take those nuggets and use them where appropriate. And before we get on with the show, I'd like to introduce our executive producer, Mr. Kenneth Bockham. Kenneth.
Hey, how's it going?
Having a good day.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear
I'm coffeeed up. I had a great lunch.
Oh, yes.
This is turning into a good day. So
yes, I love it. I love it. And I always love a good show where we get to help our local entrepreneurs and share some amazing information with them and just make their lives just a little bit better and maybe even share something we like to call Biz Bites. Biz Bites.
All right. It's time for the Daily Biz Bite. Matt, did we check to see if that's copyrighted?
No,
I don't think the stutter portion of it is copyrighted.
That's
so
right.
Maybe we run with that. So we're going to take just a minute and talk about this thing called Facebook. If you haven't heard about it, it's a wonderful way to waste time and lose energy. And I also call it my electronic income reducer. But in certain cases, you can use Facebook to create awareness, to build a brand, to develop a market. And many of us are involved in this group called the Tulsa B.O.N.G, the Business Owners Networking Group, and currently sitting at around 6,000 vetted members and another 1,200 daily visitors. This has become a thing. It's one of the fastest growing networking groups in the world. Just last month, we had over 80,000 posts and comments. So there's a lot going on. And a lot of those comments, though, are in the act of giving a referral. Now, if we're going to give a referral, it's one of the nicest things we can do. Mm-hmm. And when you give a referral, you know, somebody came on the other day, Kelly, and said, "Hey, who's a handyman?" 80 people replied. Guess whose handyman they chose? Mine. And it's not because they know who I am at the level of velocity we have. Nobody knows who we are. Mm-hmm. But here's what I did for my handyman. Most people go on, and this section's called How to Give a Referral on Facebook. And most of the people, probably 79 of the people, posted somebody's name. Call this guy, call this lady, call this firm. They don't put any information. Here's what I did. It's made all the difference. My handyman said, "Please stop referring me out. I'm too busy." If that's not your problem right now, you need to listen to this answer. Here's what I did for my handyman, Donald Smith. So here's what I do. I will go message the person asking, "Hi, my name's Cash. I saw your post about needing a handyman. My guy is Donald Smith. I've used him for 14 projects around my house in the last 18 months. He's somebody that I know, like, and trust, and he has a key to my house. Here's his phone number. Here's his email." And then I put a photograph of him in there as well. And it is rare that my guy does not get the deal. Why? Because I take the time to refer him. Now, how tough is it after all the referrals he's received? How tough would it be for him to create a referral for me one day. That ain't what I'm thinking. I mean, you might be thinking that, if I give him 6, he'll give me 1. Don't let your brain operate that way. If you live the life of a giver, the receiver part takes care of itself. You don't have to take action on that. When it allows you to show up in a way that not many other people are showing up, and it'll help your client, it'll help your friend do more business. And that is our biz bite for the day.
Love it.
Give a good referral. Make it impactful. And, the rest of the world's not going to do that. They don't take the time. Take the time to love on somebody, and it'll pay dividends at go past the money sign that they're going to make.
Yep.
So you think we should get on with the show now?
Hey, that was a good one.
It turns out there's a guest here.
We do have a guest.
I don't know. When did she get here?
Well, at the beginning of the show, right before we locked down the hatches and sealed the exits.
Well, I'm glad you've done that. Our guest today is Kelly Kilmer with Tulsa Real Producers, and you can find her on TulsaRealProducers.com. And Tulsa Real Producers is a magazine. We're going to talk to Kelly Kilmer here in just a moment. But Kelly, we met through this odd idea that is now all over Tulsa called the B.O.N.G group, right?
Yes.
I can't remember if we met outside that. It seems like perhaps we did, but we met through B.O.N.G.
Yes.
And and we really, don't know each other that well at this moment. I hope we can change that. But what has your experience with the B.O.N.G been like?
It's just a different sort of referral networking group. What we do at Tulsa Real Producers is a lot of community building, and that is exactly what's happening within the B.O.N.G group. Yeah,
and it's, I think as we go through time, this just continues. And, there's one guy that's referred in that group 18 houses to his realtor, 18.
Nice.
In the group. And, that kind of business seems to be going on and on and on, and referrals for real estate and mortgages. And, man, it's just been very prolific. And even though I happen to be the guy that did the first meeting with 3 people, it's the people that built the business. I didn't build the business. I've managed it a little bit. But I am amazed by the people in this group. And I know that you have a deep reach and influence in the Tulsa market. And we're glad to have you here today. So I want to hear just about you, the person, just your family makeup, married kids, play foot. What do you like to do? Tell us a little bit about you.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm originally from South Texas and was brought to Oklahoma in 96 with the oil and gas industry. So what brought us here. All I had in my head about Oklahoma was waving wheat and cowboys and all of that. But realized that Tulsa is just a great place for community and culture, and stayed 4 years. Oil and gas moved us to back to Houston for a couple of years, and then we chose to come back to Tulsa to raise a family.
Wow.
So that was in 2004, and have been here ever since. So that's
20
years. Yeah, I've been back in Tulsa. 5 kids. We have 1 left at home. My little baby is almost 17. And we have a grandbaby, which is really exciting, too. So we're exploring. My husband, William, and I are exploring empty nesting. We're getting really close to that, where we've got the house to ourselves, and refrigerator and pantry is stocked for the first time in years. It's really nice. But we've got kids spread out all over OU and Missouri. We've got one in San Antonio.
Wow.
And the ones that have moved out are spread out all over, but it's kind of an exciting place to be right now.
All right. So the most important question of the day, have you picked out a grandma name?
Yeah.
What are you going to go with?
They call me KK. I'm Grandma KK.
Grandma KK.
Nice.
Yeah, we've had KK this week and GG. And so, all right, KK, I like that.
Yes.
And how old is your grandchild?
She's 9 months.
Oh, man.
Yes.
So we'll have to break her in with KK.
Yes.
Wow, that is awesome.
Little
Well,
baby.
congratulations on that. So we want to hear about your business, and I want I've known about it now for the whole time that you've been part of the B.O.N.G, but you know about something peripherally, but digging in is a lot more fun. So tell our listeners, what is Real Producers?
Real Producers, as you mentioned, it's a publication, it's a magazine, but it's so much more.
Yeah.
It's a community as well.
Yeah.
So that publication goes out to the top 500 agents in the Tulsa market every month. They are identified by their production in the year prior.
Okay.
So in 2024, we're recognizing production in 2023. We release a list every January of those top 500 agents, and they cannot pay to play. They don't subscribe. They are honored to be in the group by their actual activities, and that's why it's called Real Producers. You have to really sell homes to be a part of it.
Right.
That publication is provided free to them. It's said it arrives at their home or their office, and it tells the stories of the agents, the brokers, the leaders, the real estate community, as well as our preferred partners. So
Right.
people who support the real estate industry, like our photographers, our lenders, our title companies. And so their stories are being told as well inside of the publication. And then we seal that community with live in-person events.
Right.
So we launched the thing in Tulsa in March of 2020. And
Oh, good timing.
yeah, I don't know if you recall.
There was a thing.
Yeah, there was a thing. We had just mailed to all the 500. We had a big event planned, and the world shut down. And I had a moment of defeat of how are we going to make this thing go? I was real sad about myself for about a week. And then I said, this thing's going to go because it's bigger than just this publication, the in-person, the everything. So we started meeting online
Right.
and quickly moved it back to in-person when we were able to. But we're doing that. And then we support the entire community digitally through the website, Instagram pages, Facebook pages. We have private pages for our group as well as public pages for everyone who's involved in the Tulsa real estate community.
Right. So is your website a place where a potential home buyer would come to find a realtor? Is that a resource?
They would go there to see what's happening inside of that publication. So
Okay.
yes, you are going to see the top agents in town. If you
Right.
visit there, you're going to see their stories, and we do have archives back for the years of all the stories that we've done. So you can identify a top producing agent that way that you may want to reach out to. You're also going to identify the best vendors in town that are supporting the real estate community too.
Is that like the mortgage people or
Yes.
or what? I'm sure I'm missing a few industries.
Yes, all of the top. Our top four are insurance, home inspectors, title companies, and our mortgage companies.
Right.
But we also have, like I said, the photographers. We have lawn mowers. We have roofers. We have a lot of anyone who wants to work with the business of the realtor.
Right.
These top producing agents, like for a roofer example, they don't touch one roof a year. Like a homeowner might only own one roof. Maybe
Right.
they have an investment property. But an agent on our list is going to be involved in a transaction with 40 different roofs every year.
Right.
So the opportunity for referrals is a lot bigger
Yeah,
because
it is.
they ask us, when we find out through the inspection the roof needs replaced, they go straight to the top agent and say, hey, who do I call? Do you know
Right.
somebody who's your referral source? So those top agents are a great source of referrals from that vendor list that's there online.
Yeah. That seems like a great idea. And now, you own this in Tulsa, but you also have a branch in Oklahoma City.
We do.
We're going to talk mostly about Tulsa today since that's where we are. But how do you get involved in something like this where, this is a big deal?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So getting involved with the way that we interview preferred partners to be
Right.
on our list.
Right.
And that's also on the website. We've got an application. We do cap it at a certain point for a lot of those industries. There's probably 1,000 different lending mortgage houses in the
Right.
Tulsa area. We feature 5 or 6 at the
okay.
max. We want to have really people who are embedded in the community. They're doing good work. They're not fly by night. They're good people that you can call and trust. You really want to trust.
And that's it's one of the things we do in the networking group is we try to vet the vendors. But by the time a vendor is in your magazine, there's a little bit higher level of that know, like, trust thing because you guys vet them and the realtors that are already producing are vetting them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So either I've gone through the process with them or we get a lot of recommendations from our top agents.
Right.
They say, hey, I work with this company. They're terrific. This insurance person does really great work for me. Let's give them a call and see. And a lot of times that's where the referral comes from is the agents are referring their partners into the
Right.
community.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. So how did you get involved with Real Producers?
Yeah, that's an interesting story, too. So I've been a real estate broker for the last 20 years. I've had my own company. I've worked with 2 national companies here in town. I currently manage a RE/MAX office in the middle of town. So I'm involved. And alongside of that, as I was growing in my own career, I started coaching, teaching, training people for everything alongside real estate and business ownership. So through my coaching company, I reached out to someone in Oklahoma City that was running the Real Producers in Oklahoma City at the time. Right. They had founded that one in 2018.
Okay.
So I reached out in 2019. I was looking for a space to hold a coaching seminar. And so I thought the guy would be helpful for me. So I called him and I said, hey, I'm looking for space. I know you do events. Can you help me out? And he did help out, but he also suggested that I might be a good person to also run a Real Producers. And I completely dismissed that idea. I had plenty of work selling houses and coaching and doing everything else, raising a family.
Sure.
But then I thought again, I was like, well, tell me more. I'm always curious about things. My answer is usually not no to something when it's presented to me. It's, hey, tell me more. So he told me more, and it was a quick flight to Chicago for a training. I seriously thought it might be an MLM, and it was not. I thought maybe I'll just go to Chicago and, see. I've never been, look at the Great Lakes and do it. No, but I got there and realized this is not an MLM. It is not something out of line. It is perfectly in alignment with who I am and what I do. And I said yes on a whim. And my husband's like, what? We're going to be a publisher now.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, let's do this. It's been the greatest opportunity. And like I said, we launched in March of 2020.
Right.
And in October of 21, we took over Oklahoma City as well.
Wow.
So,
okay. So you're a leader in the real estate industry. You are a real producer.
Yes.
And you have to hit a number to be on your list.
Yes.
Would it be fair to ask if you're on your own list?
I am on my own list.
Okay.
Yes, I sell enough homes every year to still end up on the list, whether I like it or not. It's become where it's a hobby and it's natural. It's what I do. And this year I actually have got myself on the list as well as far as my production.
And so if you're on the list, do you have to stay on the list each year?
It gets renewed every year. So every year in January, so we rerun the numbers for the year before and kick out the new list, and they get badges and lots of awards and honoring that achievement.
I would think that's such a good idea because as an entrepreneur by yourself, you don't have a boss, but maybe you have this thing that keeps you running. What was that?
That was me.
That was you. Okay.
I coughed.
Oh,
but I muted my mic, so I was hoping no one would notice.
I thought I heard a dog sound over there. But I mean, it seems like just the idea of staying involved in a magazine that you can't buy your way into. I think there's some of those out there in the entrepreneurial world where you can buy an ad, but it looks like an article maybe.
Correct.
And I couldn't name one. I just think I recall seeing a couple of those down in Austin when I was there. But, that would be motivating.
It is very motivating. I get a lot of calls and comments every year from people saying my goal, if they're newer in the business or they've been operating at a lower level, they'll tell me their goal is to make our list and they're focused on it, trying to get there. Or I have those comments that are like, I just have to make sure I stay here. Then I know I'm doing well. I'm in the top 10% of agents or less in town.
How many agents are in Tulsa? Do we know?
It varies.
Yeah.
It varies. We peaked at about 6,300 in 21, 22, and that's starting to decline a little bit, but it's still well over 5,000 agents. So We're hitting the top 10%.
Yeah. So just a professional question, and not something we planned for. Where do you see the Tulsa real estate market going in the next 7 years?
This is a wonderful question. This is what I teach, and I analyze data. I was doing it this morning with a group of agents, was going through, where are we going in the next 7 years? Tulsa real estate, I've been involved. I've owned something in Tulsa since, like I said, 96. It typically increased a 1% to 3% every year. Right. We didn't get any bubbles. We don't get the bubbles of the coast. We're not that kind of market. We just have a steady, say 1% to 3%, 1% to 3%, just kept going. 7 and 8 were tough. Values didn't increase. If they dropped, it was very little. It wasn't too bad. As we came back again, 1% to 3%, then COVID hit. Boom. Prices increased 15 to 30% in some places, a lot. We've almost gone back to where we're back in that increase has decreased. The bubble, the thing that happened, through COVID, people say, oh, the market's crashing. No, it's not. It just has returned to the normal increase. So you could expect with my crystal ball, which is I didn't have COVID on my bingo card in 2020, so it's not always perfect. But in reasonable predictability, you're going to see a 1% to 3% increase. You're going to see stability of interest rates. We have leveled out. People are kind of returning to the normal, the post post-COVID era, like in everything. We've returned to that at this point, and it's actually been wonderful for the agents that produce and our career agents.
Right.
Because now I can show a home and my buyer can think about it tonight.
For 5 minutes and not have to get 12 offers.
Yeah. The writing contracts on the hood of your car while you're wrestling back the other agents who were trying to show that house was not fun. So.
Yeah, that was an interesting supply and availability bubble that didn't make a whole lot of sense.
No.
But it was happening.
Just like toilet paper. What the heck? Like, why did we do this with toilet paper during that time? It was just unexplainable.
Yeah, they wiped out the supply at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one.
Okay, there we go. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's my one toilet paper joke. It's what I've got. So there's a lot of now that was my time release joke also. Thank you. So I've studied the Tulsa market for a while, and I lived in Austin while Austin was becoming Austin. I was there before that thing really took off, and I feel like the same thing seems to be happening in Tulsa. Property taxes are so high in Texas right now.
Yes.
The houses are appreciating and the property taxes are up. It's a double whammy. And, what was a $240,000 house 15 years ago now is $1 million, and the property taxes are near $25,000 a year.
Right.
And I think all those people that, they got to look around. Where are we going to go? Dallas, Houston, all sort of the same. They're not going to get, they're not going to Louisiana. They're going to come to Oklahoma. We got a winning football program for now. And, we have 4 seasons, and it's a really beautiful place to raise a family. Mm-hmm. And, depending on your personal values, it's a great place just to live.
That's why we came back. Like, we chose, even being from Texas, I wanted to come back here to raise a family because it was just so much less crazy.
Yeah. A little more bad weather, a little more, shaky weather.
Yeah.
But, man, what a great place Oklahoma is to live. And I think the real estate market in this community will be robust for the next 10 years.
Oh, yes.
And, we sort of see interest rates dropping a little bit in the coming first and second quarter, maybe.
Yes.
And so there's some realtors out there that are going to be happy about that, and some home buyers.
Yes.
Yeah,
they're thrilled.
I think that benefits everybody. And, very cool. So great leaders always have a story. There's always something. There's always the thing. And take a little bit and tell us the Kelly Kilmer story.
Ooh, that one's tough. The story. So I mentioned my husband, William. We've been married 10 years this year. So it's a combined family. My 5 are 3 and 2, and we combined, no kids together. We brought in, but the story is the first half of my adult life. I was in a really tough relationship. I was married for a long time, and like I said, I was teaching school, and I was in a very kind of submissive role. You wouldn't recognize me at that point. It was a really tough, abusive situation. And I know a lot of people say that, this person's a jerk or whatever, but it was a really tough situation. I left on a Friday while he was at work, June 3rd, 2011, with the help of Domestic Violence Intervention Services here in town, some counselors and some help. We got on our feet, but I lost everything. We had built a real estate business. We had 43 rental properties. We had all the things that look shiny and nice on Facebook. I mean, fake book.
Fake book, yeah.
It was shiny and nice, and from the outside it was perfect, and on the inside it was not. So I rebuilt a life from scratch when I was well into my 30s. Kids were pretty young, and it's still a challenge, to this day. The key to the toxic situation was alcoholism, and which he eventually passed in January of this past year. It's been a little over a year ago that he passed from the alcohol. So my kids, even though they're older, a little bit older now, they're still very young adults, and they lost their father. Right. And just working through that whole situation over the last few years, because you have to unprogram yourself. It was programmed, and unprogramming and building confidence, and then helping people around. That's where I found the joy, was helping others go, hey, I hear you. You have a situation. Right. Because everyone has a story, which we've learned. Right. Everybody's got a story, and everyone's got hardships and trials, tribulations. No one is given more than the other. I don't feel like it. They're just different. The challenges. Sure. And that's when I do really well with leadership and my teams. We have employees with the publication. I've got realtor teams. I've got lots of people that I'm leading on the regular is just working with them and going, hey, I have a story. So do you. Let's do our job. Like let's not use it as an excuse.
Yeah, use it as fuel.
Yes, exactly. So your challenge might be, they're all different. Everybody's challenges are so complex, but we're all facing battles. I mean, just the state of the economy right now, and just putting food on the table is a battle for some at the moment. It's just there's so much going on all the time in the world and in our lives, and they've gotten complicated. But coming forward with a attitude of gratitude, what are we grateful for? What do we have? What do we do have to work with? If we do have some things that are holding us back, well, let's work with the things that we do have on the positive and help build businesses. And that's where all the joy comes. That's where it all ties together. The real estate and the publication and everything.
You mentioned that there was a time you had to walk away.
Yes.
There was a moment, a line in the sand, and you said you lost everything. Would it equally be true that you gained everything as well?
Exactly. Yes. Because I said I lost everything, and I said, no, I walked out with 3 happy, healthy children who are wonderful. And now, and I gained 2 more through remarriage, and that was it. I did gain everything back because I had that clarity of who I am.
What would you say to somebody who's in that same situation and they're stuck? Because you and I both know that situation can be, it's tough, and a lot of people are in that situation. I grew up with a mother in that situation, and she just felt stuck. And, how do you, this is a more personal question, and we'll get back to real estate in a minute, but this is real life.
It is.
What would you say to somebody who's stuck? What resources out there? Because that's not something you can go tell everybody.
No.
And it often the first sign of trouble is somebody split up, or I don't know. I don't know how you did it. I know how my mom did it, and it was brutal.
Yeah.
And she came out of it with her kids, and. So I have been on the child side of that.
Right.
And, so first, one of my favorite words in the world is grit. And when I think of the word grit, I think of my mother. And now I think of you as well, because it takes a big decision.
It is.
And it takes guts that you didn't know you have. And, because there's so much that goes on. Are there resources out there for people in that situation?
So many resources, and for a lot of people, it's a trusted person at church or, somewhere where you can share. I think I was scared to tell anyone because I didn't want anyone to think that I was less than my pretty picture perfect life on Facebook.
Yeah.
I was very terrified of what other people would think. And that was the biggest mistake, know. And
I think that's one of the best life lessons for business and what have you. So,
yeah, it's to stop caring about that. That it's not. This is. I've got to be the self-preservation needs to be stronger than what other people think.
Kelly, we're going to come back to this. My producer has waved me off. It is time for a studio break and a drink of water. Kenneth, who are we talking about today?
All right, thanks, Cash. My name is Kenneth Bauckham, and I'm here to help you bring your awesome ideas to life. I specialize in helping businesses explode their online presence through professional photography, video, podcast production, and virtual event production with a rapid turnaround. It's commercial photo and video services with a personal touch. Learn more at kennethbauckham.com.
Very good. I like that you added podcast production. What number is this, by the way?
This one right here is number 88.
88. All right.
Yeah.
Podcast number 88. So you've produced 88 podcasts.
Yes, we have.
Wow, that's a pretty deep resume.
It is.
A lot of people think I'd like to do a podcast or write a book or tell a joke or paint a picture, and they just they get stuck.
Right.
And we're going to get them unstuck.
That's right.
And these leaders that we're bringing in, who are willing to take action to have a better life, they're going to help them get unstuck as well. We're here with Kelly Kilmer, Tulsa Real Producers.com. We're kind of talking about real estate, but we're also talking about Kelly's life. And I sort of want to dig a little more into that. I don't know if we're completely finished, but the topic is about how do you get unstuck?
Yes.
When you're in this situation, and it's every single part of that is scary.
Yes, and it applies to wherever you're stuck. It might be a relationship. It might be a financial situation.
Right.
It might be, remind people you're in control of your life.
Right.
Usually if someone's complaining about something they also have the ability to fix it.
Right.
Usually. We have control over a lot of the exterior things. So it's the baby steps. It's the little bit. And like I said, sharing, if you've got something that's going on, it's okay to share it with trusted advisors, looking
Right.
for resources. We get wrapped up in that self, we don't want, somebody's going to look less on me if I tell them that I'm broke or I owe taxes or I'm in a bad relationship or
Right.
whatever it is. An addiction. That's one that people are always afraid to share. And I was
Sure.
like, the step to healing, and I'll tell you that in any recovery, is admitting you have a problem.
Yeah.
And that's your first step, is admitting, hey, I need to fix this situation, which when I was there too, it was stuck in a relationship, it was, this isn't right. Like admitting, okay, I have a problem. This isn't correct. And looking for solutions to the problem.
Right.
And then when it finally reached, a line in the sand, like you said, it's like, so there's got to be some self-preservation for my kids and myself. It's the baby steps. It is for me in that situation, I reached out to Domestic Violence Intervention Services. They were connected to me through a counselor. I was actually seeing through a grief counselor because I had lost my mother that year as well.
Oh, man. What a year.
And
okay.
yeah, she was the one who said, kept saying, back up, say that again. And I would say something and she just taking notes, writing stuff down like, what? Because I didn't realize how bad it was because it's
Right.
like the frog boiling in water.
Yeah,
But
you
they
get
don't.
used to it.
They get used to it, right? And
Yeah.
she's like, what did you just say? Like, that's not okay. Like, let's talk more about that. And so she helped me get connected with Domestic Violence Intervention Services, who gave me a lot of safe resources and how to protect yourself. And yeah, I moved on from there. But I think for anyone who's got a big challenge in front of them, a situation, it's that being willing to admit that you have a situation,
Right.
looking for resources to help, and to stop being worried about what your neighbor thinks about it or your friend or somebody on Facebook. It really doesn't.
Well, good on you
matter.
for your attitude towards it, because a lot of people, as you mentioned, and I think this is a pivotal point in life, is that people are worried about what others are going to think.
Yes.
And, one of the things that was great for me was just getting over my addiction to the opinion of other people. One of my buddies went, yeah, what do you care about those people? And he said, go grab your checkbook. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, how many of those people make deposits into your checkbook? And I'm like, none of them.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And that was just a starting point of recovery for me, coming from a childhood, like, in that same environment. But, yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom when you step up and find somebody to help you through and step over the line. And I don't want to linger on this. This is a great story, and how you overcome is inspiring. And I know there's somebody watching or listening right this minute that would probably like to just buy you a cup of coffee and say, how did you do it?
And I'd love to go.
And
Let's go have coffee.
Well, so you can reach Kelly Kilmer at TulsaRealProducers.com. And you can find us also on Cashflows at TulsaB.com, our new exciting website, if you'd like to reach either Kenneth Bauckham or myself. And you can find Kelly Kilmer also on Facebook,
Yes.
in the Tulsa B.O.N.G group, and a lot of ways to get a hold of people that you might want to talk to. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
That's a big deal, that you can come on here with somebody you don't know that great and just say the thing.
Well, people tend to think like, oh, you have it all together. And I'm like, let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
like, let me tell you what happened this week. It's like, it's real life. Let's be real.
And to me, that's what's inspiring. When you meet somebody, they had the situation, they had the thing, that this is going wrong, they had the fear, and they did it anyway. Susan Jeffers wrote a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Yep.
And one of the early books I read in my development as a young man, as a business guy, and it's so hard, I'm scared. Oh, feel the fear and do it anyway. And here's how, and here's a mechanism. And man, I learned so much from that. Thank you for sharing, Kelly Kilmer. That was great. So what are you working on in 24?
We are working on building this community even bigger and better, the Real Producers community. We're just highly focused on customer service for our partners and just getting to know the agents even better and helping them facilitate those relationships, because that's what it's for, is to get, when agents do transactions now, everything's electronic. Sometimes they don't even talk on the phone. Everything's done by text, email, transactions are going, and they have to be on the defensive because they're representing their clients.
Right.
So they have to, hold it back a little bit. But this brings them outside of the transaction to actually get to know each other from different brokerages and different situations. So, yeah, we're building that community. We have partnered with several local nonprofits over the last few years. So a lot of our events and things are centered around giving back to the nonprofits and helping our agents plug in those places. A lot of times they have a little bit of time and extra funding, and they want to do these things, but they don't know where to start. So we helped feed that.
All right. So big question. Is a realtor still relevant? And I have a reason for asking.
Absolutely.
So many people have come along, and the do-it-yourself realtor and the do-it-yourself appendectomy kit, and everybody's gone to this thing because they think they're getting a better value without professional advice. Does it still seem, in your viewpoint, that the realtor is maybe even more relevant today?
Even more relevant because of the way people are today. Everyone's on edge. Money's everything. There's financial stress, all the things.
Right.
Having someone in your corner representing you to negotiate every last repair, negotiate all the different things, to help you find, the perfect home, to help you see all the options that you may not know about, as far as the buying. On the selling side, it's what paint color is going to get you more money.
Right.
Those things. We're doing it every single day. And I do trust a tax professional with my taxes.
Right.
I trust a surgeon if I need an appendectomy, like you just mentioned. Like, I am so happy to pay professionals to handle things. Like, I could probably get my taxes figured out on TurboTax. Like, and I might walk away and go, look, I saved I saved money because I didn't pay somebody to do it.
Right.
Did I really save money if I missed an important deduction? It's that kind of thing. It's just having a professional in your corner.
Right. I think there's two things. There's price and cost. Price is a one-time thing. Cost goes on forever. And using a real estate professional in my own life, man, they have saved me buckets of money. Whatever they charged me, it was insignificant compared to what they earned me or what they helped me prevent losing. And I love real estate professionals. And so we're glad that you're part of that. So what's a piece of advice you'd give to a growing entrepreneur in this entrepreneurial endeavor that can help? We need some good advice from a champion.
Yeah, my secret to success that I'll share with anyone is the consistency.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's the consistency of the things that you don't want to do.
Right.
And that is the secret, is if you don't feel like doing it, it's like, do it anyway.
Right.
If it's part of the baby steps to building your business. And that's the first key, is identifying what those 1, 2, maybe 3 things that you need to be doing as you're at the beginning.
Right.
Because I think some go, entrepreneurship is the big shiny object. I've got this business I'm going to build. A perfect example is you'll see a post, someone who started a new business, and they'll put up a picture of their business card, and they'll say, what do you think of this? Should I use this photo or that?
Right.
Or should I use this logo or that? That is the last thing you need to be worried about right now. It's like, as a fresh business owner, nobody is picking your business over that one, because you're like, you know what? I want that lawn care company because I really like that triangle logo.
Yeah, that triangle really got me going.
That one, I'm going to call them. No one does that. So why are you worried? I get it. Branding is so important. It is. It absolutely is important. But when you're at zero, you don't have a brand.
Right.
You're nobody. Let's start building something, and then we'll layer the branding and make sure everything's correct. So that just focusing on what you need to do. And in most businesses, as a single entrepreneur, that what you need to do is network.
Right.
It's meet the right people who are going to rally with you to lift you up. Because by yourself, eventually you are going to need a graphic designer to get your logo in order. You are going to need the leverage to help you do the things you don't want to do.
Right.
Administrative work, filing your taxes, whatever it is, you're going to get that help. But if you're an island, you won't have them. So picking those things. For a realtor example, they're lead generating. They're hosting open houses. They're making phone calls to their sphere of influence. Those things, blocking that every single day and doing it, whether you like it or not, is the key. And that's most people fall out because they're not willing to. They're like,
I like that word leverage because we leverage the abilities of other people. We all have 168 hours in a week.
Right.
And if you want to have 178 hours in a week, you leverage somebody for 10 hours of their time. And that makes you all the more effective in those hours that you do have.
Yes.
All right. We are here with Kelly Kilmer, Tulsa Real Producers. And we're going to wrap this up with a golden nugget from Kelly and her business experience. Kelly, what say you?
I say that is the golden nugget is the do it anyway.
Yeah.
I love that. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to not be confident. It's the do it anyway. Get out there and network, meet the right people, build the business from there, and just keep on doing it.
Consistency, I think, is one of the great things that is free. It just takes a little bit of effort over time, and consistency does its magic. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up, Kenneth. I think we're right on time, as we always are. That's a wrap for today's show, and we are thankful for Kelly Kilmer being here today to share with us. Thank you so very much for opening up and sharing your story with us. It's your story that compels people to be near you. It's not just your ability to sell real estate, but people can connect more with your story than they can with your success. One is more common than the other. And to our sponsors today that keep this show going, and to Kenneth Bockham, who is such a fine podcast producer, we thank you. So today, let's be nice to each other. Let's make good decisions for our families and for ourselves. And just for today, maybe find somebody that you can forgive, because forgiveness is not about them. It is about you and letting go of those chains that have kept you down all this time. For isn't it true, Kenneth, that we're here by grace and we have been forgiven of so much, and what a lightness forgiveness creates. So with that, thank you to our friends who continue to log on and take a look at what we're doing. Cashflows is a show, and it is about you. Thank you for being here.
That's our show for today. Stay tuned for another riveting edition of Cashflows.